Morning, it's Thursday, welcome back, and don't forget, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Yeah, I was going to go to a machine today and do a little bit of work on it, but the machine is no longer available today, which is part of the comings and goings of the job. So I left today, I left today kind of free because I wasn't sure just how long I was going to be at this machine. So I've got a day free now. I've got a couple of little bits and pieces, some loose ends to tie up, which I'll try and get on with today. There's a DX19, when you swing the door around, it doesn't catch and hold, so I've got a new catch in the van for that, and hopefully I'll try and get hold of that DX10 that needs the fuel gauge as well, because I mean that's been going on now for 4 weeks, 4 weeks. That's just been a nightmare to try and get hold of. It has, so yeah, it's funny, sometimes you kind of get these kind of lulls and you kind of get caught up and there's not an awful lot happening, and I suppose it's only a good thing as well, you know. All the machines out there are working quite happily with no faults or breakdowns, so it either reflects well on the machine or tells us that I'm doing a good job. So yeah, we'll just have a quiet day today, just potter on and see what we get up to. Hopefully the phone will ring with something interesting that we can go and get a look at, and we'll just have to go from there. But yeah, not all go sometimes. I found my digger. Took a bit of finding as well, mind. But there it is, look. So I'll get a look at this door. So when you shut this door, it doesn't catch. So I've got a new catch in the van. So spring's not working in it, so we'll get that replaced. I've taken the door off just because when I can take the old one off and just let it fall into the cab, but when I'm trying to line the new one up, I need to reach my arm round and the door's just in the way, so it's just on these pegs. Nothing really holds it on. It just sort of drops down and gravity holds it. So right, I'll pull this old catch off. Right, there we go. So what I do is just leave the screws finger tight so I can move it around a little bit if I need to. Hung the door back on, just shut it so it catches, and gently move the door open so that's in position, and then just nip it up with some screws. Nice and straightforward. Right, I've got an update. So I've just been in the workshop office there, unfortunately, on a day like today, just doing a bit of online training, but I've quoted to go and do a service, and in the next 5 minutes I'll find out whether or not I've got the job. Right, good news. The day has been rescued. I'm away to service this 40-tonner just south of Edinburgh. It is a little bit later in the day, but the weather's nice, the days are long, and yeah, I feel like I've done something with my day. I feel like I've earned my wages. Right, I'll see you on the road up there. Tell you what, give me country roads, forestry roads, any day. I'm in traffic in a big city. I don't know which lane I should be in, and yeah, this last 2 miles has taken me 20 minutes. Anyway, I've got 4 minutes left to go and it is 10 to 4, so hopefully I'll get there. Right then, it's bang on 4 o'clock. Got a 1,000-hour service to do on this digger, and put my hard hat on and my high vis. Let's get it done. Look at this for a well-kept cab. 1,000 hours on this, hardly a speck of dust in here. Right, these Perkins engine ones, you have to clamp, see there, you have to clamp the fuel feed from the tank. Otherwise, you'll make a lot of mess very quickly. They used to have a tap on them. The Dash 3 models, you could turn the fuel off. And on these ones, you can, and the new ones I noticed you can again, so something to look out for. There we go, there's probably about 10 quid's worth of diesel in this filter at the minute. That's our filter changed. What I do when I've taken the filter off, put a rag down here just to catch any drips off the filter head. Right, I'll go and put that in the filter bin and then I'll come back and change that one out. So I've still got the fuel turned off, but for this filter, just loosen it and then slacken that bottom off till it's empty, and then again saves a lot less mess. Right, progress is done. I've serviced the engine, so I've done the 2 fuel filters, engine oil filter, and I've changed the engine breather filter in here. I've had a look over the belts and the pulleys, everything's alright in there. I've just got to fill the engine back up with oil. I'm just on with doing the hydraulic return filter, and I've already done the pilot filter down there. And I nearly forgot to set the hubs draining, so I've just set them off just now. So try and get you set up here, look. There we go, right. So I always try and not spill a single drop of oil when I do this. It bugs me that they change these face plates on these final drives, because there used to be a fill, level and empty, and they've done away with the fill one, and they're so slow to fill now. If you pump too hard, it just shoots back out the hole again. It's a slow process. Never mind. Right, service complete. It's just after 6 o'clock. I'm going to go and join some rush hour traffic now and try and get home. Oh, I need diesel first as well, so I'll have to find a petrol station. The joys. Right, I'll see you in the morning when I'm doing more servicing. Morning, it's Friday. I've just loaded up with this load and shovel service, and yeah, I'll just head on over there now and make a start. Right, I've made it to my service, and it's the last of the engine oil draining out now, so yeah, it's going to get just about everything apart from the axle oils. So it's a big service today. Once that oil's finished draining out, I'll take that apart, let that drain out, and then change the engine oil filter, and then I'll work on the other side doing the fuel filters. Right, there you go. That's an uninterrupted view of, well, hopefully it was uninterrupted. I don't know if I got in the way or not. But yeah, it's a fuel filter change. That has taken 9 minutes and 22 seconds. And that's how it should be done. Remember last time I serviced this shovel, we had a defect in this filter. And it took me about 40 minutes trying to bleed it up before I realised that it wasn't sealing right on here. And it was just sort of pulling the air out and pushing the air in. So yeah, nice and straightforward, just the way it should be. I'm gonna do that big air filter now, and then with that box I can use that as my bin. Whoa, look at that. God, the weight of that compared to the new one, there must be some dust stored in there. Whoa. Hey, I bet you're fed up of seeing a service machine. I feel like it's all I've done this week. Service, service, service. Not a bad thing though, is it? It's an easy day, I suppose, but it does get a little bit tedious after a week or so of it. So that's this side just about finished with. I've just got engine oil to put in it. You'll have noticed by now that I always do things in the same order, sort of work my way from the back through to the front on the shovels. And with the diggers I always do fuel filters, engine oil filter, pilot filter, and then work my way around the machine that way. So I don't know, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, obviously, but it just I'm in a routine of doing it in a certain way. It seems to feel quicker when I do it this way. So right, my engine oil filter spinner, engine oil spinner, centrifugal doodah. God, it's still warm like, but anyway, it's finished draining. I'll grab one of my drain trays, put it in the drain tray, and we'll strip it down in the van there. So that's it cleaned. As you've seen, it is quite labour intensive. That's taken me about 15 minutes or so to strip and clean that. And what I'm doing is I'm replacing this cardboard element. It just sits around the outside of this rim here, on the inside obviously. And you can see how black that is, and you can peel bits of carbon off like that on the end of my thumb there. So that's what it's catching. So the carbon deposits, carbon's what makes the engine oil go black, and this spins around and it throws all the oil to the outside, and the idea is the carbon sticks to it and the oil goes back down into the sump, engine oil sump. So you can see how much that's taken out of the engine oil in 1,000 hours. So it definitely does its job. It is quite old technology, I believe. I think before you had screw-on canister filters, these were commonplace. So yeah, there we go. Right, I'll go and reinstall this and then move on to the transmission. I'll drain the transmission oil out, and while that's doing that, I'll change some AdBlue filters. So that's the engine oil spinner refitted. What you can do before you refit it, you can pour new engine oil in through here, and apparently it fills the sump a lot quicker than it does going in through the engine oil filler. But I find you have to kind of like balance funnels, well the funnels that I've got anyway, you have to kind of balance them, and it's just a little bit more awkward. So I just use the engine oil filler on this side and just have a bit of patience. Before I drain the transmission oil, I've got 3 drums there, 2's brim full, the other's sort of half full, and I've got an empty 20 litre in the van, but that isn't enough capacity to take the transmission oil. So I'm going to put the engine oil in, then I'm going to have sort of 2 empty drums at least, which I'll put under the transmission to catch. So we'll go and get that done. Progress is good. I've got the transmission oil draining, I've filled the engine oil up, and next is the AdBlue filter. So I'll take this plate off. That's the main AdBlue filter changed, and then there's a AdBlue breather filter that looks like that, and that's just on that P-clip there, if you can make it out. So I'll just take that P-clip off and it'll come out to about here, and I can get it changed. The breather filter is quite important because as the AdBlue level drops, obviously it's going to draw air into the tank. So this is just taking all the, I can't imagine it's it's not a very fine filter, but it stops all the muck getting in. But if that filter was to block, and as the AdBlue draws out of the tank, it's going to create a vacuum in the tank, and that'll make the AdBlue pump work a lot harder, which could affect the service life of the AdBlue pump. So little breather filters and things like that, they might look insignificant, but you know, if they're not changed over a long period of time, then it'll start to cost you in breakdown. So they're well worth changing. So there you go, that's the old filter out, and you can see sort of state that's in. And in actual fact, when I blew through this one and compared it to the new one, the restriction through that was quite surprising, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, it's well worth changing, well worth changing. Next I've got these 2 transmission filters to change. They can be a little bit messy, so we'll see how we go with these. There we go, that didn't go too badly, to be fair. They just run a fair bit of oil out before they finish running, and yeah, right, that's those done. I think all I've got left now is 2 cab filters, a pilot filter and a hydraulic return filter. So I'll do the pilot filter and then I'll head up onto the top and do the returns. So this is the brake pilot filter, and always before I change that brake pilot filter, I'll come up onto the hydraulic tank here and release the air out of the tank, and that'll stop it. Well, that's better. That'll stop it pushing all the hydraulic oil in the tank out through that filter housing. So hopefully I won't get a shower of hydraulic oil. So that wasn't too bad. I remember the old DL shovels, the filter would be sort of about here, but it'd be on the inside of the frame, and this inspection plate was an awful lot smaller, and it was quite awkward to get at. And I remember probably one of the first ones that I didn't relieve the pressure in the tank, and what a mess I made of myself. I would be absolutely covered, and I couldn't get the canister, I couldn't get the threads to start on the canister I think I must have lost about 20 litres, and most of it will have run down my arm and down into my armpit. Never again. You learn your lessons, don't you? Right, I'm going to get my bits ready to go up top and do these hydraulic return filters now. Right, first filter's changed. Like I say, when I remove these filters, you're just going to have a quick glance around it, make sure there's no sign of any metal filings or any bits of brass or even bits of broken up o-ring or seal. Just this will be the first place that it gets collected once it's passed through the hydraulic system, so it's worth having a quick look in there. But something I've just noticed, bearing in mind we'll be about 20 mile away from the sea at least, and I've just found in here a shell. God, birds must carry them for miles in the beaks. David Attenborough would love that, wouldn't he? Anyway, right, next filter now. Right, I've just noticed it's 1 o'clock and I thought I was getting a bit hungry. There's not an awful lot left to do on that now. I've got transmission oil to go in, drive shafts to grease and the cab filter to change, and then calibrate the transmission. So there's not an awful lot left. I'm going to stop and have my lunch. So we'll maybe make this a regular feature. What's in the fridge today? Oh, what a treat. It's Friday treat day, look. Bit of cake, baguette. Lovely. Right, lunch has been had. I'm all set up now to put transmission oil back into the machine. So got my handy doodah here, and yeah, if you were wondering, the cake was too much. I really am suffering now. Right, so I might have been a little bit greedy with how much oil I've put in there. I've put a full one of those in. That one was already opened and I'm about a third left in there. No, I was stood here holding my drill, pumping it in while I was chatting away to the operator. He came down for a chat, and it is very full, but I'm not too concerned just yet, because if you remember, all the oil is out of those filters. Those filters on there are empty. There was about 30 litres came out because I drained the drum into two empty ones, and I got about a drum and a half out of it. And I reckon I've put roughly a drum and a half in. So what you do now is hopefully it starts, fire it up and rock it from backwards to forwards a few times, and that allows the oil to circulate through the system. And then you check the oil level with the engine running. So we'll have a look in a minute once the engine's running whereabouts we're at, and we can easily just add a splash more if we need to. I mean, even if we need to drop a bit out, it's no great hardship. It's just that pipe that you screw on, you can just let a couple of litres out if we need to. But it is important that the oil level is correct with these ZF transmissions. Too much can cause damage, and obviously not enough will cause problems too. So right, let's get jumped into this cab. You see the oil's disappeared, so what I'm going to do now, leave it running and pump the oil in until it's on that red mark. There we go, that's spot on, and that has pretty much finished that drum there. So right, I've greased the shafts and everything's good to kind of pack up. All I've got to do is warm the transmission up, get it to, was it 68 degrees, and then I can carry out the clutch calibration. The grease points on this shovel are slightly different to the previous one. You can see the grease nipples are actually inside the UJ there rather than on one of 4 points, so it's much more accessible, and it's a double header, so that one's pointing out this way, the other one will be pointing out the top, so you've got much more chance of catching it wherever you park it up. And then there's obviously grease points on here for the sliders. So that's about it. I always save greasing the machine till last. Well, anything underneath the machine I'll save towards the end, because you can see you don't have to get mucked up. So I'm going to pack the van, get everything out the road, take my boiler suit off, because the fella that drives this machine keeps the cab nice and clean, so I'll respect that, and I'll get the transmission warmed up. That's that transmission calibrated, and look at that, that is good timing. So it's 3:30 now. I'm going to head back to the yard, empty all the waste oil out the back of the van, get rid of all my cardboard boxes, and call it a day for the weekend. So we'll leave it at that for today. Tell you something, I've just done a challenge to a couple of lads on Instagram, and you can have a go at it as well. So changed the grease cartridge in my grease gun and timed it, so my time was 33 seconds. Head over to my Instagram and have a look at that, and if you can do better, tag me in a video on Instagram, and we'll see what it's like. So anyway, thanks for watching, have a good weekend. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, and if you've enjoyed the video, give it a like as well. See you later.